Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 3rd, 2021 regular meeting of the Sachem Board of Education. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for all of our servicemen and women stationed around the globe. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to turn the meeting over to Dr. Pelletieri for the Superintendents Report.
Thank you very much. We're going to immediately jump into some student recognitions, and tonight we're going to start with Adriana Ancilieri. And recognition, you like that, how I pronounce that, right? Adriana Ancilieri, recognition for Healthy Hearts for Happy Kids Trail, and her teacher mentor, Miss Ryan Thatcher from Sachem East High School. Would you both come up, please? And if your parents are here, Adriana, come on up as well. So who wants to introduce Adriana and kind of how she went about this? And then we're going to grill her for a few minutes, all right?
Adriana and I started, what was it? Adriana and I started this probably March. We started training. We took a video online with some Girl Scout leaders, and she was clueless as to what she wanted to do for the project. So we went to sleep that night. I went to work. She woke up with the whole thing planned out. She was probably up to all hours of the morning, but she had the whole thing planned out in her head. And I said, email the town and get it going. And I have to say the town of Brookhaven's been amazing with my daughter. Every single suggestion she's come up with, they've agreed and pushed forward on it. And she's got $4,500, I think, in Walmart grants that she applied for, and several donations from Sherwin-Williams and Home Depots. And I'll let you hear it from her.
Thank you so much. You know what? Let's first, teacher, right? Come on in.
Hi.
Mrs. Thatcher, please come in. Yeah, give us a little background as well from you.
Okay. Hold it down.
Yep. No, just push it one time so the green light is on.
Okay.
There you go.
I teach AP, I swear. I was Adriana's AP Social Studies teacher before COVID, and Adriana's always a go-getter. She works really hard. She puts forth her best effort with whatever she does. She's so hard on herself, and during COVID, I think we were all kind of down and out, and we didn't really know what to do with our free time. In my free time, I'm really into fitness, and I coach kickboxing and weightlifting. And Adriana was, eager enough to join my Zoom calls with my gym. So she wound up joining me with a few other students. And I kind of, when we were working out in the parking lot together, I kind of helped her out in terms of like what to do with this fitness trail. And she kind of just took my ideas and ran with it. This is all her. She's very impressive. For just a young lady her age, she's so mature. And I'm so thankful to have her kind of in my sphere and like still like in my corner throughout the day. We kind of see each other all the time. So she's very great. She has like big things ahead for her. And I'm very proud to be her teacher.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Adriana, come on in. Sit down there for a second. So, yeah. Tell me, give me some background here. What is it that we're talking about? What did you apply for? What did you end up doing? Pull that mic down a little bit closer so I can hear you. There you go.
So first, I'll talk about the trail. So basically, in the very beginning, my idea was to come up with a fitness trail. I live right behind the Ecology Center, and I know they have the like adult equipment, the body weight stuff. But I wanted to make it more inclusive for like families and kids to come. So I wanted to create stations for kids to enjoy, to get out, hang out with their friends, become more active.
So there's stations like this where it says what to do, right? As I walk along the trail. So there's a trail behind your house, and as I walk along, I would do 10 jumping jacks, for example.
Yeah.
Fly like a bird. How do I do that?
Yeah. So then when you scan the barcode on each of the signs, it'll bring you to my YouTube channel, which has me like
I'm sorry.
demonstrating.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Your YouTube channel?
Yes.
I'm superintendent. I don't have a YouTube channel.
No,
Yeah, help me create one maybe?
I could.
That's pretty neat. And you're doing the exercises then
Yes.
that are in there. So roll your head in a circle 5 times.
Yeah.
You do that?
I can roll my head in a circle.
All right. Very good. Very good. And I see do 10 squats. So there's a whole series of these here. Jump on one leg for 10 seconds. Do you want to demonstrate that now on TV? No. Okay. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So you had this vision and the town had this opportunity, right?
Yeah, they took it and ran with it, you know. Originally I was going to buy all the signs, but they kind of took over. They were like, we'll supply you with signs, we'll do all the concrete and pretty much like all the pads.
And is this done already now, Adriana?
Yeah, they're there for people to use right now. I'm working on painting them right now, just to make it more colorful and inviting.
So you're through the Scouts as well, right? Through Girl
Yes,
Scouts?
through Girl Scouts.
Okay, so there are other projects that perhaps kids could reach out and help you maybe with the painting and things like that, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. How would someone get in touch with you, or through teacher or family, or?
I have a Facebook and an Instagram.
Of course you do.
And
Okay.
you could either look up my name, Adriana Ancillary, or I believe it's under Healthy Hearts for Happy Kids, which is the trail name. Or yeah, you could reach out to family members if you know them.
Okay.
But-
Adriana, how does that make you feel looking at that trail?
I can't even believe it. Like I can't even put it into words.
Like you never know how.
Yeah. So was it a month or 2 ago? An author had reached out to me on Facebook and was like, I run the track every day, and she saw the progression of my trail, and she was this is my author, Amy Tangel. Yeah, my
You
author.
got quite a team behind you.
And she reached out asking to write my story on how I came up with the idea and my inspiration.
Am I in your story?
No.
Oh, wow. All right. Maybe after this.
Yeah,
maybe
not
after
yet.
this. Maybe after this. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
What grade are you in?
I'm in 11th.
What else are you going to do?
I want to fly planes. I just got into Olympic weightlifting.
Oh my
I got
gosh.
a bunch of stuff going on.
Got a bunch of stuff going on.
I want to be an aerospace engineer.
Well, we want you to also. That is just, you're going to be, obviously. Look at this team behind you
Yeah.
and the way you operate. I could tell already nothing's going to hold you back. So really proud of you.
Thank
Really
you.
proud of you and how you represent Sachem and your family.
Thank you.
Really amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you.
team. Yeah, can we take a picture real quick? I have a recognition from the board also, Adriana.
Let's get the whole team in. Oh, where are we going?
We're going this way? Oh, we're staying back there.
I have to stand up.
All right, is everybody ready? All right, smile with your eyes. All right, excellent.
Got it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. That's awesome.
Adriana, do you need the signs back?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. We are next going to bring up our National Merit Scholarship commended students for recognition. Why don't we go with, I see North here first. So if you don't mind, Mr. Larson, you want to come up, please? Our principal at North High School, Mr. Larson. Thank you, Mr. Larson.
Good evening, Mr. Piccarello, Dr. Pelletieri, members of the board, District Office Administration. We were lucky enough this year to have 3 commended students from the National Merit Honor Scholarship Program. So basically what this is we have about 1.5 million juniors that take this exam nationally, and about 34,000 nationally are chosen to be recognized in that commended level. And Sachem North was lucky enough to have 3 students this year recognized for this. We have Dilip Kusama, Joseph Chiano, and Taryn Wilkin, all from Sachem North.
Are any of our kids here tonight? Please come on up. Go ahead, guys. Grab a seat real quick.
Okay.
So we have, again, tonight, we're going to have a recognition. We're going to take a picture afterwards. Thank you. Very, very commendable, your work thus far. How do you feel about both of you?
It's very, I was extremely surprised when I found out, but I was also very proud of myself because I did work very hard for this.
Excellent, excellent. Young man?
Pretty much the same.
The same? Are you guys, so you say you're surprised, but I'm sure you're outstanding students.
I like to think so.
Hey, Chris?
Are you an outstanding student as well?
Sure.
Sure?
Hey.
Okay, all right, good,
Dr.
good, good. Then there could be opportunity for more in the future, right? You guys are we planning on colleges and things like that already? Or do you know where we want to go?
I have a short list of a few schools, but nothing permanent.
Okay, and you?
No clue yet.
No clue at all yet. Oh, boy. Mom, Dad, we're going to have to get started on that, right? We're trying.
Dr. Pelletieri?
It's not easy, I know. Well, congratulations to both. Oh, a question.
No, I just for the audience's sake, could you explain what the criteria was for this recognition?
The National Merit Scholarship, I know, is there's a threshold. I don't have the threshold off the top of my head, quite honestly.
The score rating is 207.
Say that again, Mr. Larson. Just into the mic, if you don't mind.
So there's a score benchmark of a 207 on the exam, and basically what they do is they double the score, and then anybody that falls above that is considered commendable.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Why don't we, we're going to have then East come up, and then we'll take a picture of everybody, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Antonetti, you going to come up for East High School, please?
East had 5 students this year, so I don't know if I should bring more seats up.
Oh, very nice, Mr. Antonetti.
First, we have Anastasia Glennis. Andrew Reyna. Alexis Lee. Michael Lorenzi. And Adam Todd.
Adam, thank you very much. I was going to say we have a lot of young ladies here, but it's good to see a gentleman there.
Choose wisely who sits down.
Yeah, who's going to jump in there? Who wants to talk? Somebody. There we go. Thank you.
Someone else said, please.
Was anybody here surprised by what happened? Were you surprised?
Yeah, I was very surprised. I didn't know what it was for at first, but I was very happy and proud of myself. So.
Excellent.
Yeah, I had no idea about it, and it took me a while when they sent me the little card. I was very surprised about it, very excited.
It just happens, right? It's just you work hard throughout your life, throughout your career and education, and then you reap the benefits of it. It's fantastic. Anyone knowing where they're going to school or what they want to do?
Actually, yesterday I decided I'm going to St. Joseph's College for nursing and women's soccer also.
Oh my gosh, fantastic.
Thank you.
Does St. Joseph's know that? Like, or you?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right. I just figured you decided. Hopefully they know as well. All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm planning to go to school to major in physics.
In physics. Oh my gosh, outstanding. We need many physics teachers. I don't know if you want to come back and teach physics, but it's not easy, right, Mr. Trombetta? It's hard to find physics teachers. You want to be a teacher?
No.
Oh my God. I knew I shouldn't have asked that. I knew I shouldn't have asked that. I knew I shouldn't have asked that. What will you do with your physics major?
Hopefully become a physicist and research.
All right, we need that as well. Well, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
I think about physical therapy.
Physical therapy. Excellent, excellent.
Marketing with potentially corporate law in the future.
Oh my gosh, very composed. Yes?
Computer stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of future in computer stuff. Let me tell you, from what I can tell, without a doubt, I like it. It's a nice range. All right, well, thank you all so much and congratulations. We're going to come up and take a picture.
Everybody can go back behind. All right, everybody ready? 2, 3.
Anyone else want to come up and take a picture? I'm going to introduce you and then you'll... Always ready? Guys, we have a very exciting presentation on computer stuff if you want to stay. All right, have a good night. We're going to continue going forward now. Thank you. Mr. Larson and Mr. Antonetti, please, if you, I'm positive. Have
Thank
a
you,
good
guys.
night.
See ya.
You're welcome to stay. Yes. Thank you very much. We're going to jump right in with Mrs. Hines, talking about a couple of requests we've had from board members this year.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Seal of Civic Readiness. What does that entail? And we're also going to talk about the National Blue Ribbon in an attempt to see where we stand insofar as that. So, Mrs. Hines, go right ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Pilitari. And again, this is just some introductory information around our Seal of Civic Readiness and our first steps as we navigate this. And then also just taking a peek at what Blue Ribbon means, the possibilities of it for our school district. Tonight, though, I am joined by Ms. O'Doherty, our Director of Instruction for Humanities, and Ms. Graham, our Director for School Counseling. So they're really going to help walk through the next few slides for us. So when we talk about state Seal of Civic Readiness, NYSED, New York State Education Department, refers to it as civic readiness, as the ability to make a positive difference in the public life of our communities through civic knowledge, skills and actions, mindsets, and experiences. That would include advocacy, holding office, etc. So tonight we just want to really walk you through that. Hold on one second, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. O'Doherty if she just wants to walk us through the background.
So the Seal of Civic Readiness is an initiative that came out of New York State Ed, as Ms. Hines had mentioned. I think it's important to note that the concept started in 2018, and we're very proud to share that the person in charge of this at State Ed is a proud Sachem graduate. Her name is Christine Ratz. She goes by Christy, and she has presented to us several times at both our BOCES workshops and some other New York State workshops that we've been to across the state. She very kindly offered to do a summer workshop webinar for us this summer. So we're proud to know that someone of her capacity is leading this effort in Albany. It's important to note that the Seal of Civic Literacy has changed names a few times and gone through a few different iterations. Most recently in the fall of 2021, October, November, we have had Virginia Harshfeger. She is a consultant that we work with for the past 3-4 years in Sachem, and she really brought the work to us in-house and provided a full day to our Sachem teachers, mostly our social studies teachers, but also guidance counselors as well. And you'll have an understanding of why that, how our guidance counselors come into play, but our administrators and most importantly, our teachers as well. And then we had a webinar, as I mentioned, where we're able to ask questions of Christy Rates live. So we're very proud to have her as part of our group.
And we expect to plan for the remainder of this year and through the summer. And we also expect it to be approved by the Board of Regents, making us able to start our first steps next fall of 2022. Okay. Marie,
Sure.
Marie, do you want to just go through those?
Yes. So New York State has kind of compartmentalized this work into 4 different categories. That's civic knowledge, civic skills and actions, a civic mindset, and civic experiences. And I won't read all of those definitions there, but it's important to note that this work really starts at our early elementary levels, but the majority of our work will be categorized and logged as we start our middle school experience for our students and actually culminate when they reach high school. I think that when we read through a lot of this work, we can't help but remember the work of Sal Nicosia and his life's work. And a lot of this is really coming into fruition with this Seal of Civic Readiness.
Thank you so much. Yeah, when we think of Mr. Nicosia and all of his efforts to bring forth, this is something that simultaneously was coming out of the State Ed Department. So again, just that understanding, fundamental understanding of government, law, history, geography, all of those different areas, demonstrate a broad array of critical analysis, verbal communication, all of those things that you want to have as an orator, demonstrating a mindset of being a participant, serving others, serving your community, and then participating in appropriate experiences. For our students, we would be looking at capstone projects, cross projects from social studies to English, possibly even health. And especially as we realize the 9th period, we're very excited for this. So the criteria for Seal of Civic Readiness, again, I'll pass back over to Ms. O'Doherty. This is not in lieu of another Regents, but more in line of collecting credits towards that extra pathway.
Yes. So I think it's important to note with this slide that if you see this diagram, it has changed several times from New York State. So this is the most recent version that was shared with us about a month ago. It has changed a little bit over time, so it's always important to have the most current information. It's The students need to receive points and accumulate points from two different categories, the civic knowledge as well as the civic participation. They need a minimum of 2 points from each of those categories, but of course the total that they need to receive are 6 points. And if you notice the asterisk at the top, and according to some of the points, they can receive more than 1 point in certain categories. So we're very excited about this work. We're excited to see how it incorporates into the classes that we already have in place, and how we can also work on capstone projects as well as experiences through some of our club activities. So we're looking at opportunities where students in Sachem can have this experience in an equitable way across our schools, so that all students would have the opportunity to receive this upon graduation if that's something that they're interested in.
And my apologies, I said in lieu of, not in lieu of, I meant is in lieu of. For graduation, you do have to take the honored 4 Regents exams +1. This work counts towards that +1, which Ms. Graham is going to explain next. Before that though, when we talk about a capstone project, this is project-based learning. These are the skills that we want our students to know for higher order classes like AP exams, etc. Very excited about this. While the credits start really officially logging in the high school, and we'll talk about Passport for Good. If you remember a couple of years ago, we talked about this platform where students and staff can help our children log all the things that they're doing, so that when they're ready to apply for a career in college, they have essentially a resume of all the experiences that they've had right at their fingertips in order to be able to do that. And this capstone project would really be the first steps for our students in the middle school. So we are excited to really have that exposure starting in like that 5th, 6th grade, definitely 6th grade year, and then realizing those credits once they come into the high school.
Yes, and the only thing I would add about this slide is when we think about the projects that the students choose or the extracurricular activities that they engage in, it's important that the work evolves out of their classroom studies. So it's not separate and apart for that. As a result of their studies, then they engage in certain fundraising activities or civic activities. And as a result of that, they reflect on that and they provide their analysis of that experience. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Graham.
At this time, students who are seeking graduation in New York State need to have a maximum of 22 credits. In addition to the 22 credits that they have, they must also have 4 Regents examinations, and then there's +1. And the +1 would be a variety of different pathways that students would exhibit their interest in and then work toward. Usually those interests come in the form of 5 credit sequence, either in STEM, which would be math or science, humanities, which would be English or social studies, art, which would be fine arts or music, LOTE, which would be language other than English, CTE, career and technical education, or CDOS. And then the final that is being added in would be our Seal of Civic Readiness. So the students would actually have an opportunity to utilize their interest and their academic strengths toward a 4+1 Regents examination and pathway. And what we would like to do is, like Ms. O'Dowdy said, is we would like students to highlight their interest and the skills that they're learning in the academic setting. And we would like to actually see what those skills and what their academic skills and settings would be, and we would have Passport for Good as a platform to capture or portfolio all of the work that they've done.
Thanks, Ms. Graham. Can you just go over what CDOS is again for those of us that may
Career,
not know?
yes, that's Career Documents and Occupational Services. And so what those students would be doing is they would be working in the field, trying to get work-based learning and more applicable with hands-on training. And those students usually are our special education students.
Thank you. And just as we look at those pathways, certainly with the ninth period coming abroad next year, our intention and what we've been building over the years is as the kids come out of fifth grade going into the middle school, we want to have experiences. We do have experiences and we're growing them for all these different pathways so that by the time they get to eighth grade, they really do have a sense of where am I going when I go into the high school. So the Seal of Civic Readiness was one that we were really excited about because to us, that was the last piece of the puzzle. Okay, I just share with you here, and my apologies, I don't think I can click on it, but this hyperlink, and this will be posted to our website, is where you can go directly onto the state ed website and look at all the resources that it has, lots of different videos, examples, all of those things. And as soon as we hear definitely about the approval, we will certainly let you know, but otherwise we've already met as a planning team. We are looking forward to this work. We are doing exposure, like I said, in the middle school and then working for it in the high school. So at this time, if you have any questions.
Jump in for one
Yeah,
second.
absolutely.
Also, I was reading some research today that I'll actually share with the board this weekend in an article I'm going to send you, but it talked about autonomy for students and how important that is in terms of their engagement and their self-esteem and their worth and wanting to be in school, being able to make some decisions and how it really pulled kids in. And your comment, both ladies, around letting students pick projects that grow out of what they're learning is exactly what they're talking about when it comes to autonomy and having kids really want to be eager to get to school and work on projects that really engage them. So this is right aligned with this current research. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. We have a lot of project-based learning going on in our math classes, science classes, social studies classes. So this is, again, that choice, that voice, and we're really excited for our students. Any questions?
Mrs. Graham, can I share a question? Have you seen research or data that shows that the New York State schools are looking for students that are graduating to have this on their diplomas?
Yes, this is a trend and it has been developed because there is a need to show the work that students are doing across different academic genres. Most importantly, now that students have been engaged more with civic activism, this is something that really resonates with students and it helps to give them practical knowledge, not only in classroom, but in the real world to show that these are skills that they're learning. So it's all applicable, and this is something that was a cry out of the work that students had been doing, and the state responded to that cry.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Please.
Just a quick question regarding the civic readiness. I know with a lot of the other humanities, STEM, music, a lot of times, in order for a kid to get that +1 pathway, there's a national assessment associated with it. For example, in career technical education, they have to pass a national assessment particular to that course that they take. How do they actually get the approval on the career readiness? Is there something at the end, okay, once they complete all of the units and all the levels that allows them to be recognized as that +1 pathway?
Yes. So with the 4+1 pathway, the students here in Sachem are already set up with a 5-credit sequence in addition to a technical or an assessment at the end. In CTE, it would be a technical assessment, and we have a plethora of precision exams where students have an opportunity to take stackable credentials according to the skills that they've learned. In all of the other areas, the state has designated different assessments that they can take on top of the coursework that they've done here at Sachem.
And that would be for the career readiness part?
Well, the career readiness would be the precision exams for the CTE. In each of the areas, the state has designated what that assessment could be. And so there's a script on which students are to follow along with the coursework that they take here in Sachem.
Mr. Scavo, we moved away from the NOCTI exams and instead purchased the precision exams.
Okay. Yeah, there's multiple companies that do it. I think
yep,
Skills
absolutely.
USA does it now.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of different
That was
companies
at the advisement of, am I forgetting her name?
Ellen
Representative-
Palazzo.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, there's some exams that are very student friendly and there's some exams sometimes that are not really achievable. There's two in my particular profession where one requires 400 hours of work experience. It's very hard for a 16-year-old to get to a place of business for 400 hours just to sit for the exam. So some are much, much more student friendly, and I'm glad that we found one that's very student friendly and achievable?
The precision exam is student friendly and it's based on our curriculum. So it drives what the curriculum is in the classroom, where students are actually getting a post-test and a pre-test rather, and a post-test to ensure that they're following the guidelines. And they can take additional precision exams, which help to build their resume on the skills that they're learning in the classroom, not just from the curriculum, but life-based skills.
And it's one other thing I wrote down is that a lot of times, in order to get the students ready for, civic readiness, it starts at an early age. You mentioned middle school and high school. Are we doing anything with the elementary level to get them in, and how are we implementing that?
Yes, I think when we did our own learning into this new seal, we see a lot of this already occurring in our elementary schools. I noticed that there's a lot more literature out about it as well. So certainly our elementary teachers will be aware of it and have had some training on it, actually just this past week, really. But the work that we're able to start logging and categorizing for the students will happen in middle school. We have had the benefit of conferring with 2 districts on Long Island who are the pilot schools for this. It's William Floyd and South Country. So we're sort of learning from their a short step ahead of us in ways that we can categorize our students' club activities. And to your point, Mr. Scavo, I love the fact that they do include work-based learning for the students, because that is a really important part. If you're dealing with the community on a regular basis, that allows all students to have that opportunity.
Thank you.
We've also we haven't adopted, but we've went back to full training for Putnam BOCES, which is our social studies program, our resources that we have. And those are all exposure units, and majority of them are exposure units around civic readiness, as well as we've been talking about bringing back a career fair for the elementary school, just to kind of expose students to different ways that you might be able to engage in civic readiness through your livelihood.
Mr. Arsonia?
Well, first, I was as you started the presentation, I was thinking about Sal Nicosia. So I was happy when you mentioned, because he would be thrilled with this, right? He advocated very seriously about pushing civics into the elementary schools and working his way back up. I guess the question I have really is more along the lines of logistics. If I understand the way this works is, like my older daughter who graduated, she did not take her 3rd year of Spanish with Regents because she had a 5-year sequence in music. So she didn't have to take the Regents in Spanish. Instead, she took the 5-credit art sequence or music sequence and still got her diploma with an advanced distinction, right? So this is another pathway. The Civic Seal how does this work logistically? How does this work with that?
So yes, in essence, it is the same thing. Like everything old is new. And so the state has just renamed the sequence to be a 4+1. And the reason that they have done that is just that people didn't understand that that was a way that they could graduate. And so in essence, yes, this will replace either a language or an art, and we will use it for that. But we want to educate parents, we want to educate students to understand that the skills that they're learning and the coursework that they're doing is worth something and can be utilized in a different way.
And how, like for their capstone projects and obviously the classroom work is they have a teacher. Will they be assigned a faculty mentor for those projects to oversee that? Is that how that would work?
I'm not sure.
I think that's exactly where we're at now, right? We're really working with our social studies chairs, the administrators, some select social studies teachers to see how and where we would place. We know it's going to come out of our social studies classes. And so would they naturally be in the middle schools, the leads for that? Are we going to appoint maybe a guidance counselor who might be that? Would we put together a team? It's new for us too, and it's exciting because it does sound like something that could culminate in a research project by the end of 8th grade. We could have a team where they present it, almost like a dissertation. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna lead into now. Because now when you start doing that, you got to start planning well ahead of time.
Right.
You got to start planning when they're in the 8th and 9th grade that that's the path they're gonna choose. So we'll have to have good communication with the community so that the parents understand and the child understands. This is what you're gonna do now as you move forward through high school, right?
Yes, correct. The goal would be to have that 8th grade conversation, if not sooner.
So this will be pushed down to the middle school guidance counselors, and then, okay.
Yes, and we did have at our first like real kind of planning meeting, think through meeting, middle school and high school counselors with us, as well as administrators from both sides, chairs from both sides. So
The schools that you're pilot, that you mentioned the piloting this, can you give us an example, like some of the capstone projects they've done? Have they mentioned anything? Have they gotten that far? Or
I'm not sure they're at the point of the capstone project, but I do know that they have figured out a way to track and monitor all of the students' work, because that is important. Our middle school students, our hope is that they could start to track some of their hours now in middle school that'll be prepared and count for them when they get to high school. So I believe that the state is working those pilot schools right now to develop the rubrics and the criteria for scoring those capstone projects.
so the eighth grade work would count into high schools.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that tracking with the passport? For good?
yes,
Is
I
that
was
what
just
you
going to say
mentioned?
that we are ahead of the game in that, and that we had purchased that a few years back because we really wanted to have a way for kids easily on their phone to track all the things that they were doing both inside and outside of school. And Ms. Graham naturally brought it to us as another way where now we can track all these different seals of biliteracy, seals of civic readiness. So as we're finding out more planning items that the state's going to give us we can come back and then share with you the exact steps of how we'll proceed. And again, with the realization of ninth period, we see lots of different ways to implement it that I think is going to be a really wonderful thing for our students.
Anyone else? Thank you guys very much.
We're going to roll right into the next presentation.
Yes, if you don't mind, I'm going to excuse them only because
Oh,
we've
sure,
been in
sure,
many
sure.
committee
Please, thank you
meetings
so
together
much, ladies.
today.
Great
Thank
job.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Very
ladies, so
informative.
They're sick of seeing me. Okay, so our next short presentation is just about National Blue Ribbon School Selection and what that is and what that means for us and the possibility for this and or another avenue for Sachem schools. So just the background, and I apologize, and it's not a night to forget my glasses. This is a New York, this is through the federal government. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Potter. Sometimes I do steal his glasses. So yeah, this is a little different than like middle states or one of those other, we went through tri-state already. This is actually an accreditation through the New York State Department of Education. And it is an award program that recognizes the exemplary public and non-public schools each year. They use the standards of excellence based on student achievement measures. So this would be looking at the state data report cards, all of those different measures that we look at, and we are approved through each year. The department honors those high-performing schools that are making great strides in really closing those achievement gaps. So it's not always necessarily the area with the highest scores, but how are we shortening those gaps for students in need? It's now in its 39th year and has bestowed more than 10,000 awards to over 9,000 schools. The federal department invites the chief state school officer. That really would be our person who's in charge of our education department, our commissioner, for all the states to nominate schools that they believe in each state that meet this criteria each year. Once those schools are nominated and the state then has them fill out the application, it's then submitted to the federal government, and that's how the establishment starts. In order to be eligible for nomination, a school must meet several criteria-based performance areas, which we'll share in our next slide, mixed with English, language arts, and mathematics. And they also look at student growth on state assessments, performance on state assessments, graduation rates, and all such other indicators that typically are looked at with data each year for performance for school districts. Okay, so the general measurement criteria is whole school performance, top 15% in the state, school subgroup performance, top 40 in the state for each subgroup, high school graduation rate, top 15% in the state. And I highlighted those because you can go through the different options, but those are the percentages that a school would need to meet. Okay, school subgroup improvement, again, top 15%, school subgroup performance, top 40%, high school subgroup graduation rate, top 40%, and whole school improvement has to equal or exceed what the entire state improvement is. application and yearly process. So I can't click into that little purpley link that I have there, but again, this will be on our website. You can see it's a quite lengthy application that goes through all the different facets of your school, looking at your data, instructional practices, etc. But basically, this is just the yearly process. In October, those letters of invitation go out to all the different state secretaries of education. In December, those state education secretaries nominate folks that they think might be worthy of the data based on the performance levels that they look at each year. February, again, those schools are then finally chosen, and those names are submitted to the Federal Education Department. Those schools then have to complete an application that are due to NYSED in April. September of the following year, the Secretary of Education announces all National Blue Ribbon schools. And in November, you get invited to a very lovely ceremony in Washington, D.C. So just so that you know, here on the island, we have a couple of schools that have been recognized in Comac High School, Jericho Senior High School, Lawrence, their high school, Merrick, again, their high school, Mount Sinai, their high school as well. I think that was it for... Oh, Glen Head. Yes. Remember, we were like, okay. I'm not a Nassau girl, so I didn't know where Glen Head was, but apparently it's North Shore. So yes, them too. Okay. So next steps, and we actually kind of did a little bit of it. I don't know, Dr. Potter, if you want to share with our data analysis.
I'm going to jump in for a
absolutely.
minute. We started a data analysis ourselves to see if we met any of the criteria insofar as top 15% in certain groups or subgroups, top 40% for all subgroups. So we're working through that data right now. Thus far, unfortunately, we don't meet a lot of that criteria in some areas. And I'll tell you one of the things that is a hindrance or hurts us in terms of this is we have a lot of people, quite honestly, on those state assessments in grades 3 through 8 that don't take the tests. And when you don't take the tests, you're going to have kids that are, we lose their ability, right, to bring them into the fold, to use them as a means by which to make this criteria. So until we get more kids in 3 through 8 taking state assessments and doing well on state assessments, we're going to struggle in that regard to make that criteria. And parents, of course, make that decision, and the district always supports parents in making their decisions that they feel are best for their kids. But that piece there in those districts, you have more participation rate in terms of being able to meet that criteria.
Chris, just a quick question.
Sure.
Is participation part of the criteria? Or could we utilize the number of students that do take the exam?
Well, what happens is we'd end up with a smaller subset, and then therefore our numbers are lower based on that subset. So you don't have to make a certain participation rate, but when you reduce your participation rate, last year we were down in the 20s or something like that, it just gives you such a smaller window by which to try and make that criteria. There's different ways we could do composite scores, right? We put ELA and math together, graduation rates, and college and career readiness together. Like we're still looking to do that. Certainly, it is a strong aspirational goal for our district to be able to meet this criteria and make this application be wonderful. One of the things I mentioned to Erin is I know we've begun the middle states process already. We had a middle states visit. We've worked with our middle schools, and that might be a great opportunity for us to take a look at applying in some area in that regard to really, Sachem is an incredible school district. I've come to learn that over my short time here, and really proud of the work that we're doing and have done and will continue to do. And I want to see us, get up there with the academics as well, as much as many of the parents obviously would want to, and staff as well. And I think a good first step might be that middle stage accreditation. That might be something that we want to discuss, Mrs. Hines. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think just stemming off of what you were talking about with the 3 through 8, certainly that would be challenging for our middle schools right now to attain. But at the high school level, while we do have strides to make, that could be some aspirational goal setting that we could look at for the next couple of years in order to look to possibly apply. But we are in a really positive place for middle states accreditation. That is no small feat. I actually did this work in my previous district at Comstock to receive middle states accreditation for the entire school district. It was the first school district that did do that. And because we are partnered with Tri-State, and we've already done a visit and we're having a revisit in February, That means that Middle State has already approved the visit process. So all we would have to do is sign up for the application now. So that if that is something that the board would like us to consider, we could certainly look at that either for this school year or next year following our second visit with Tri-State.
And I'll just add again, we just keep building on things here. So great credit to our teachers, our administrators, our staff here, even insofar as we're looking at the 9-period day. We're looking at offering AP to some of our 9th graders, an AP Human Geography course, which I think is well placed. We get more students taking those AP courses in 9th grade, prepares them for those AP courses as they move along. They get in that track, so to speak, and get accustomed to taking those more rigorous courses of study, which everyone will tell you will set them up for great success in high school and in college and career and beyond. So I'm very excited about that work. And as we get more kids in to those courses, you'll see more opportunities for national types of recognition.
Great. I don't know if there's any questions at all.
Yeah, no, just a comment. So I had asked for this, and thank you very much for doing this.
Absolutely.
And Chris, to your point, I think it's great we get started, right? There's a lot of good things happening in the district. So I think it'd be nice to eventually get this. So an aspirational goal, I think, is certainly something we should attain or at least try for, and gets the recognition of all the good work that's going on. Because there are a lot of good things happening academically, the board goals, the 9th-period day, right? So thank you.
Absolutely.
This was good. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, the focus this year has been on like really pushing us academically, and really appreciate that. And I think we're responding well.
Maybe we can send some information about what Middle State's accreditation is too.
I think that's
in the
great. We'll
Friday
put in a
packet,
Friday packet to the
Okay,
board.
I was going to ask, does that give us any leverage towards Blue Ribbon if we're Middle States accredited?
Certainly, by meeting certain criteria to make Middle States, it would help us to be making that same type of criteria in terms of National Blue Ribbon. One wouldn't necessarily speak to another, but it would put us well on the way.
And having Middle State's accreditation is no small feat.
Yeah,
So
it's
it is,
fantastic.
and especially for our school district being the second largest, I think that would put us in a different category altogether as a school district.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Mrs. Hines, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I think we're ready to move forward.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Letter F is the approval of minutes for the October 20th, 2021 regular meeting. Can I please have a motion? Motion by Mr. Isernius, seconded by Mr. Baumann. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Mrs. Florio, any visitors? Okay. Business items 3A, disposal of district property. Can I please have a motion? Motion by Mr. Baumann, seconded by, yes. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Sorry. Letter 4 is personnel teachers, consent agenda A through M. Can I please have a motion? Motion by Mr. Isernius, second by Mrs. Pikowitz. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
Can
We're
we
gonna
just
flip-
take one
Yeah, of course,
second?
please.
We'd be remiss in not acknowledging an important milestone in one of our teachers' lives. Ms. Karen Gunther is going to be retiring as a special education teacher from the Somerset Middle School. She's been an integral part of so many students' lives over her work and impacting students and their families to help students achieve their goals and move on into the high school, into the world of work. We'd like to congratulate her for her upcoming retirement and wish her all the best, as well as sharing her time with her family. Congratulations.
On the bottom of page 6, number 5 is personnel, consent agenda A through H. Can I please have a motion? Motion by Mr. Isernia, second by Mr. Scavo. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. We're going to flip to page 9, towards the bottom. Contracts, consent agenda A through E. Can I please have a motion? Motion by Mr. Baumann, seconded by Mr. Scavo. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Flip to the bottom of page 10, Letter 7A, athletic field trip. Can I please have a motion? Motion by Mr. Isernia, seconded by Mr. Scavo. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Number 8 is Committee on Special Education, Consent Agenda A and B. Can I please have a motion? Motion by Mr. Baumann, seconded by Mr. Reynolds. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Number 9 is Board Committees, appointment to Board Committee members. Can I please have a motion? Motion by Mr. Isernia, seconded by Mr. Reynolds. Any questions? Did you say a question, Jim? I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
More of a point. As I did at a prior meeting, I'll be voting no on this item. But again, I have to make it clear, it is not because of these individuals. I have no problem with these individuals on there. I'm just making it clear that my no vote strictly has to do with the process. I do not believe in limiting the numbers, nor do I believe in the selection process. So I just want to make that clear so nobody thinks I'm against these individuals.
Please.
Just a point of procedure. We're going to consider other appointments tonight. Should we table this now and then add them on to whatever we do coming back out of executive session, or?
I figured we'd approve it, and if then there's no issues later, then we'll move forward. If there is, then I don't know. Are we still going to come back out later?
I would approve these tonight, and then the next one's the next.
So at least we're still moving in a forward direction. I just don't want to hang up. It took us a little while to appoint the first group of people, and I just don't want it to drag on. That's all.
Okay.
Is that okay? All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Number 10 is policy review. This is a second reading and adoption. Can I please have a motion? Motion by Mr. Scavo, seconded by Mr. Isernia. Any questions? All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Number 11 is monthly reports. Does anybody have a report? Mr. Reynolds?
Two things. One was the legislative committee, in speaking to Laura, she couldn't be here tonight, but just to give the board an update, she's reached out to the PTA council lead. They're in agreement to do that forum that we talked about in partnership with us. Once we get the legislative committee in order, then I think we could start planning, but her goal was to probably do something after the calendar year, January, February. Okay. And then the second was just with regards to the budget committee. Since we approved all the members, I just wanted to ask the board, is there anything that we were looking to charge this committee with doing? As historically, we've done different projects, Chromebooks, ninth period day, things like that.
I would say that, give us a little time to maybe think about it. Maybe we'll come back to the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, maybe put some stuff on the table for consideration.
Okay. One of the things for consideration is really to do a deeper dive into the budget, right? So with the ninth period day, we're going to be adding staff, a lot of, there's going to be extra expenditure. So perhaps that's something that we should start looking at now, and maybe that could be the charge, right? Start doing a deeper dive into the budget work, and in conjunction with Mr. O'Keefe and his team.
John, can I just ask a question? If they were to do something like that, I feel like last year we did it, but it was a little bit late when you did your presentation.
Yeah.
When would that need to be done to be considered for us to adopt, to put the budget up?
That's part of the difficult process, because I may not have full FTE counts till, mid to late February, beginning of March. So we'll already be a good 50% of the way through building the budget process. So it would be a race to the finish. Certainly once those sections of the budget are built, they can do a deeper dive, into the numbers. Each presentation I do, I know last year, Mr. Sachs met with the group and broke it down for them, was able to go through the budget notes. So they might be able to do something on that. It is going to be complex this year, building the budget, bringing together in potentially a number of extra FTEs, with the uncertainty of what state aid will be this year. The state is promising more money for districts, but we know that we're in a hold harmless situation where our foundation aid has been relatively flat for the last 5 or 6 years. So, I certainly welcome, extra eyes on the budget. That's fine. So whatever way the board feels best, if you want to think about it between now and the next meeting, that's fine with me.
Everyone okay with that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please.
I was at the PTA Council, just to add on to what Mr. Reynolds said, that they have already started to they have like a chairperson, they're getting people to volunteer, so they're kind of got the wheels turning on that too. So they're doing their end, and then I guess once the legislative committee is put together, then they'll continue to work together.
Anyone else? Perfect. Number 12 is public comment. Please, Mrs. DeSimone.
Hi. Very easy, non-political subject that I think all parents have a concern with. So I have 2 kids in elementary school, both with excellent teachers, very receptive, very, good at answering. Communication is wonderful. But I have, and they're twins, so they're both in the same grade. I have one who does well with homework and the other one who struggles or for hours every night, and they're different kind of kids and they learn differently, but I find that speaking with other people in the district who have older children, that they have help for people who are struggling with their subjects in the older grades, whether it be a tutoring or something after school. But there's nothing that I've seen or am aware of with students who are in the elementary level who struggle at home. And it's not necessarily, I think this is like a problem like forever, because I remember struggling with homework when I was a child, but there's no set thing that I'm aware of where there's an in school and not like a look at a video, or you can scan this thing and go to the website, or whatever the case may be for students who are struggling academically. There's no after school support. And I was wondering if anybody's ever brought up this subject and if there is any support for children who really do need that extra support. I know at the later levels, but I think that if we catch these children early and get them excited about learning, and if they're learning with their friends, they're always, or not necessarily with their friends, but in a more structured environment, that it goes a long way, because everybody who has kids know that when their teacher says something to them, it comes across a lot differently than when mom or dad or somebody else is asking them to do something, especially for the ones who struggle. So I wanted to know, and I know this isn't a back and forth, but if
We
there
could have an answer
is-
for you, Mrs. DeSimone.
if
Thank you
there
so much for
is or
coming tonight.
isn't-
Mrs. Hines might have some information.
Thank you, Mr. Piccarello. I was going to ask if it's okay if I answer. Hi, Mrs. DeSimone.
Hi.
Well, first you should always request through your classroom teacher,
And
because
they've been wonderful.
Yep, but they would be offering extra help. If your children need beyond that, we do have a new Saturday enrichment program, academy program, where they could be looking at homework, they could be looking at classwork. We're also going to have enrichment activities, but we have also been thinking about after-school programs where kids might be able to get some small support with, ELA math, and that could also be homework. Right now, we're starting with the Saturday Academy to see how many students we're able to engage with.
Has that started already?
The invitation actually went out last week.
Okay.
I could resend it to you. I do have your
Yeah.
email, so I could resend it to you. That's open to any of our students.
Okay.
And especially for your children, I think they would probably love it because it's not just academic. There's a lot of enrichment activities as well. And that starts the end of November and goes through April. And we may be actually extending it as well.
Oh, that's great.
Just think about that. More school, right?
Right, well,
Saturday school. No, but it's fantastic. Some kids do love it. Some kids need it more than love it, but I think it's a great opportunity. And again, because of the federal grants, we're able to run this Saturday program. Did you get the original invitation? Do you know?
If it was
would
an
have come on
email,
school
I'm
messenger.
not sure if I got it, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's so many emails that
I hear
feel
you,
like I don't.
especially as a working mom, which I know
Not as
you
good,
are.
right.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep. But I'm happy to have a conversation with you too. If it sounds like your one youngster might be in need of some modified homework, and which we would be certainly happy to do as well.
It was already addressed.
Okay.
I'm speaking more broadly for kind of everybody. His and her, their teachers are wonderful. And we've had the discussion one-on-one, but I know that if I'm struggling, I'm probably not the only one in the district. And I have to say that when it comes to this, my kids would love more school because they were out of school for a year
Yeah.
because of medical issues. And they know that it's either their teacher or me, and they prefer a teacher way over preferring.
Yeah, and this
you
is
know.
in person. There's lots of different activities. So
Right.
I will make sure tomorrow we send out the invitation to you again.
Okay, and had mentioned something about maybe furthering it to a after-school program? How
Yes,
far
we're
along are
starting.
you in
We're
that?
starting with the Saturday to see how many participants we have.
Mhm.
Obviously, we're gonna have, right now we have definitely more elementary than we do secondary.
Okay.
But that has been something that a few of our leaders have been talking about in terms of like a homework club, something
Mhm.
along those lines.
Yes.
So that might be something that I think would help your children as well, if not everybody in the school.
Right. And
Okay.
that's a preliminary stage. There's nothing set in stone for that right now?
We're definitely, discussing it. It would be a club. I don't know if it would run every day,
Right.
but it could be something that we
I
could
don't
be
think it
running,
needs to be every day,
once or
but-
twice a week. Yep.
And the Saturday program, that's a generalized for every grade, or is it a grade
Every grade.
specific?
Nope, every grade.
So the
9
whole
to 12.
elementary school and then there? Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Please.
I just want to just throw one thing in there besides, a few years back, I hate to use my own children as an example, but one of our building principals at Tamarack had come up with this idea in order to give students, community service hours. He allowed them to come back to the school after school, okay, to actually work with students at the school in subject areas. And if students were able to do this, sometimes it's so difficult to create, to generate those community service hours for National Honor Society and different, groups where kids are going to be recognized for their work. There was no cost to the district. And, the funny thing about it was that at the time my son was a little hesitant with doing it, but he loved it. He loved coming back to Tamarack and sitting with kids and actually doing homework with them. It wasn't too much of a problem because the elementary school is only a mile and a half from his house. I don't know if that's something that we can actually do moving forward, is to get kids community service hours, to maybe get them to volunteer or ask them to volunteer as one of the options to be able to work with younger kids at the elementary school level. The sense of gratitude and sense of so rewarding to help a small child, especially as an 11th or 12th grader. I don't know if it's something that we might want to consider or look into, whether or not it's even feasible.
Well, thank you for reminding me. We do actually have that. Yeah, through our honor societies. But there's different ways that, we've set it up. And actually last year, especially during the year of the pandemic, we did it remotely for students. Mrs. DeSimone, I feel like we might have talked about that at one point, but that could be another option. And you remind me, I will double check with our honor society leaders and see about that list of students, because that is a major way that a lot of our students give back and also log hours. So thanks for that.
Please.
Yeah, I can't really think of what it's called, but I know my daughter is in it, where they go and help.
Mentoring club?
Is it mentoring club? I feel like it's called something else.
Each school is kind of calls it a little something
Teased.
different. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, she loves it. Yeah, she loves it. So
Okay.
yeah, that'd be a great thing to do.
Thank you. Anyone else? There are no board discussion items for tonight. Does anyone have any future agenda items?
We already have stuff on the schedule for next meeting.
You have given us a lot, without a doubt, to come back with each meeting. So there will be, as we saw tonight, we are responding to them, and we'll continue to do so.
The next meeting of the next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be Wednesday, November 17th at 7 p.m. It's going to be moved over to the Samoset Auditorium. Can I please have a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing matters relating to a specific student, matters relating to a specific personnel, and collective negotiations? Motion by Mr. Reynolds, seconded by Mrs. Pickowitz. All in favor? Thank you, everyone.